Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kyle. It's a pleasure to have you here. Welcome back, baby. Today we're going to talk about a wheel rim, specifically this one. This is the Fanatec Clubsport RS, and there's a big reason as to why this is the wheel we're talking about today. Now, just by looking at this wheel, I'm sure you can see there's a couple of defining features about this. It's round, yes. It's pretty basic, yes. It has a nice little LED strip up the top, yes. So why do we want to talk about this wheel? Now, I've had this wheel for about 3 months now, and I've used it pretty frequently. But the big reason that I wanted to make a video on this today is when I bought this wheel, I could not find a single video about it. I couldn't find much information in forums. I couldn't see any YouTube videos on them. I couldn't really find any content on this wheel at all. And I never understood why. So before I committed and paid for the wheel, I tried to learn as much about it as I possibly could. And I learned pretty quickly that this is pretty much identical to their Porsche rim, which looks like this, just without any of the Porsche branding. So some of the glaring differences pretty much straight away is there's no Porsche badge in the middle. It's got a nice little raised Fanatec logo in the center, and the leather on the outside is black. It's not brown. That's it. So when you make those connections, it becomes pretty evident as to why nobody's making videos on this, because there's a heap of videos out on the Porsche rim. And sure, you could probably just watch videos on the Porsche rim to work out what this wheel's like, what it does, and what the features are, but that's not the way my brain works. If I want to buy this wheel, I want to watch a video on this wheel. I don't want to watch a video on something that's pretty much the same but looks different. I want to watch a video on this wheel. So in saying that, now that you know why there's no videos about this wheel, let's make a video about this wheel. Now, I'm going to approach this like you haven't seen any videos on the Porsche version of this. You have no idea what it comes with. You have no idea what it's about. And we'll go from there. So first off, let's talk about why I bought this wheel. I have 2 wheel rims. I know that people have an addiction to buying wheel rims, and you've got about 30 at home. But so far, I only have 2 of them, and this one made the cut. Now, when you're looking to buy wheel rims for your sim, obviously there's a bunch of different shapes and there's a bunch of different scenarios as to how those shapes are gonna benefit you the most. One of the key things that you need to do is have a think about what kind of driving you're gonna be doing and what kind of wheel rim is gonna suit you best. Now, I do a bunch of different driving styles. I like to do some Formula 1 stuff. I like to do some GT cars. I love to drift. I love to do rally stuff. I'm kind of a wanna try everything kind of guy. And that's honestly where this wheel rim shines. I can use this for rally driving. I can use it for street cars. I can use it for drifting. I can use it for GT cars if I really wanted to, because it does have some really nice paddles attached to the back. There's a lot of things that you can get out of this wheel rim without having to overcommit, get a bunch of different wheels. If you want to only get one wheel and get a good one that'll last, I definitely recommend this. Now, like I said at the start of the video, there are some very obvious features that come with this wheel. The first one being at the very, very top near that little red strip, there is an RPM LED indicator, and that will sync up with whatever sim you're playing to show what the RPM limits are in whatever car you're driving. Just before we go further into this wheel, I do want to quickly mention the quick release on this wheel is red. Yours won't be red. I did change this out for my Formula Carbon quick release, which is red. I just think it suits that little red strip and makes it look a little different, because why not? So if you do decide to grab one of these, yours will be black. Just a heads up. Now let's quickly move on to the paddles. You have 2 really, really nice long paddles on the back here. They are magnetic, they feel incredible, and it is just genuinely a super, super nice feeling to drive with. Now, I have quite large hands, so for me, it does feel quite nice to reach around and grab those paddles, but Millie, my partner, who has way smaller hands, still feels just as comfortable using these paddles. So I think it is gonna fit a lot of people, and I don't think it really matters if you have larger hands or smaller hands. It's still gonna be a really, really comfortable experience to reach around and grab those paddles whenever you're driving, whatever you're driving. I was genuinely super impressed when I grabbed this out of the box for the first time and I felt how those paddles felt. This was my first real wheel rim coming from a Logitech G29 setup, and the difference is astronomical. So for some nice magnetic paddles is something that you really want to have on your wheel. This has got you covered. Now that we've covered the quick release, the paddles, and the LEDs, let's have a look at the buttons and joysticks you get on the front panel of this wheel. So when I got this wheel, I was kind of confused because there aren't any button caps on top of the buttons like there is with the Formula Carbon. But to be honest with you, I kind of do prefer that. It gives it a nice, clean, stealthy look, and the little indent that the button does have feels quite comfortable on your thumb when you're driving around and trying to feel for whatever you're pushing. You do also have this little LED control panel on the front with your little button down there, which means you can adjust and change your game profile and things within the wheel wheel to your brake force, your force feedback intensity. There's a bunch of different things you can tune in that tuning menu, and that screen just allows you to see what's going on. You also have 2 joysticks on either side of the steering wheel. This one is a 4-way position, which means you can go up, down, left, and right, and you can click in as well. And this one on the left-hand side is more of a free moving joystick where you can change axis and look around and things like that. Moving up to the top of the wheel rim, you can see these 4 buttons that sit right above where that control panel goes. You have this little one here, which has a little protective cover. I like to use this for my radio button so I don't accidentally press it or do anything silly that I'm not supposed to. And then you have some other ones here that I like to use for pit limiter and talking to crew chief and stuff like that. But these ones are really, really comfortable to reach. They're not so far out of the way as to when you need to press them, but having that nice little protective cover on that one on the far right definitely does help not accidentally press things that you don't want to. So before I tell you whether you should buy one of these or not, let me give you a closer look. You can see how good it looks up close and personal and make your own decision. Let's go. So after owning this wheel for 3 months and running you through everything that comes with it, do I recommend you buy one? Yes and no. Like I said before, there's a bunch of different wheel shapes that are gonna suit people's driving styles better. If you're like me and you like to do pretty much a bit of everything, whether that's drifting, rally, cruising around in a Assetto Corsa with production cars, GT cars, anything along those lines, you can get it done with this wheel. And for all the hours that I've put into this wheel, I genuinely cannot fault it. I could use this wheel for literally everything and I would be very happy. One question that I do get quite a bit is whether this RPM meter up the top gets in the way when you're trying to drift. And the answer to that, no, not really. When you're drifting, you're gonna have your hands on the back of the wheel and just cruising over the front, you're not gripping it and grabbing it super tight. It's gonna feed through your hands. It doesn't really get in the way. You can see it sits nice and flush with that top part of the rim, so it doesn't really get in the way. But if it is a super massive concern to you and you're only gonna be drifting and you really wanna have a nice smooth finish, then I definitely suggest probably getting your own wheel, something nice and plain, and then attaching a quick release to it so you can just use the wheel as a drift wheel. But if you're not too fussed about that, this is absolutely gonna do what you need. Now, if you're on the other side of that argument and you don't wanna just drive everything and you're very focused in sort of driving that you're doing, whether that's Formula One, GT cars, anything along those lines, and you require a GT or a Formula style rim, then this might not be what you're after. However, if you're just getting started in the Fanatec ecosystem and you don't have a wheel rim yet, and you wanna get something to get you started before you really commit into working out what car you drive, then I still recommend you get one of these. They're not the cheapest thing in the world, but they definitely aren't the most expensive option. And I genuinely think that this is one of those wheels that everyone could pay to have as an option for whenever they need it. Now, I know that this whole video just comes across like there's nothing wrong with this wheel and there's no issues with it, but I genuinely can't give you one. I've used this almost every day for 3 months and I cannot tell you a single time that it's let me down, a single time that I'd want to change anything about it. I've never been in a situation where I've gone, oh, God, it sucks that it has that, or God, I wish it had this. There has never been a time that this wheel has let me down. So if you are looking to get your first wheel, or if you are looking for a round rim alternative, the Clubsport RS will change your life. Also, I think it's probably a good thing to say Fanatec didn't sponsor this. I bought this wheel. These are my opinions. You should get one if you want one. They're really freaking good. Like I said at the start, I wanted to buy one of these wheels and I could never find out any information on them. So if you're in the same position that I was, I hope I've answered some questions. If I haven't answered something that you do really want to know about this wheel, please leave me a comment. I'll do my best to get back to you. I'm happy to answer as much as I can. If you like this video, don't forget to leave it a thumbs up. Also subscribe. I post new videos every week. You don't want to miss them. Some of you guys may have noticed this South Street flag behind me. This is a brand new item of our merch. If you want to help support the channel and rep being part of South Street, I'll leave a link to it in the description. Put it in your garage and send me a photo. If you want to join us on any of our social media, I'll leave all the links in the description. Come say what's up. I'd love to have you there. If live streams are more your thing, we stream 3 days a week. I'll leave the full schedule in the description. Come let me know you found this video. Let's talk about some cars. Other than that, I'm gonna leave you to it. I love your face. Bye.